The Galactic Council had always known humans were predators. Their forward-facing eyes, their endurance hunting capabilities, and their peculiar obsession with persistence marked them as such. The Vrexian ambassador, a towering crystalline being named Jakar, had studied Earth's biological records extensively. He understood that humans descended from hunters who chased prey across savannas until exhaustion claimed their victims were. Jakar didn't understand was the distinction between a human soldier and an American apex hunter. The revelation came during the Frontier Wars, when the aggressive Krell swarm pushed into contested space near the human colony of New Montana. The Council deployed their standard peacekeeping forces, including a human contingent led by Commander Eva Reeves, a stern woman whose service record spoke of tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve. Eva stood on the bridge of the UNSC Defender, reviewing tactical displays with her second-in-command, Lieutenant Liam Harper. The young officer had proven himself during the Mars Uprising, demonstrating the kind of creative thinking that made human soldiers valuable to the Council's forces. The Krell are entrenched in the Dagwood Forest Preserve, Liam reported, gesturing to the holographic terrain map. 12 square kilometers of dense woodland. They've adapted to guerrilla tactics, and our conventional forces are taking heavy casualties. Jakar observed the conversation from his position near the communications array. Commander Reeves, the Council recommends orbital bombardment. The environmental damage would be regrettable, but acceptable given the strategic necessity. Ava's jaw tightened. That forest preserve is home to endangered Earth species we transplanted 50 years ago. There are also civilians in underground shelters throughout the region. She paused, her fingers drumming against the tactical table. I have a better solution. Commander, the Krell have proven resistant to standard infantry tactics. Jakar interjected, his crystalline form refracting the bridge's ambient light. What alternative do you propose? A slight smile crossed Ava's face. We don't send infantry. We send hunters. 24 hours later, Jakar found himself in a briefing room that smelled distinctly of gun oil and pine. Assembled before him were 12 humans who looked nothing like the military personnel he'd grown accustomed to. They wore woodland camouflage that seemed to shift with the lighting, carried weapons that appeared primitive compared to standard plasma rifles, and moved with an unsettling quietness that made his sensory crystals vibrate with unease. Eva gestured to a weathered man with gray-streaked hair and hands that bore the scars of decades in wilderness. Ambassador, this is Marcus Webb. He and his team are wildlife conservation officers and professional hunters from Montana, Wyoming, and Alaska. They know the Dagwood terrain better than anyone because they helped establish the preserve. Marcus nodded respectfully to Jakar. Ambassador, Commander Reeves briefed us on the situation. The Krell are hunting prey, but they're now the ones being hunted. I don't understand, Jakar admitted. A rare confession for a being of his intellect. How are 12 unaugmented humans superior to 300 trained soldiers? Liam stepped forward, activating a presentation on the tactical display. The Krell are ambush predators, Ambassador. They're excellent at it. But these men and women have spent their entire lives tracking apex predators through terrain far more hostile than what the Krell have encountered. Grizzly bears, mountain lions, wolves, predators that evolved specifically to avoid detection and kill efficiently. Marcus added, we track animals that don't want to be found, in conditions that would kill most species. We read sign that stays old, predict behavior based on territorial patterns, and we do it silently enough that our prey never knows we're there until it's too late. Over the next 72 hours, Jakar observed something that would fundamentally change his understanding of human warfare. The hunters moved through the Dagwood forest like ghosts, using techniques that predated spaceflight by millennia. They communicated through hand signals and barely perceptible movements. Their weapons, chemical propellant firearms that the Council considered obsolete, proved devastatingly effective in close quarters. Eva and Liam coordinated from orbit, watching thermal signatures flicker and disappear as the hunters systematically dismantled the Krell positions. The aliens, accustomed to fighting military forces with predictable tactics, they found themselves outmaneuvered by humans who thought like the predators they'd hunted all their lives. Target acquired. Marcus's voice crackled over the secure channel. Krell Alpha, coordinates Mark 7, permission to engage. Granted, Eva responded calmly. The thermal signature vanished. No explosion, no plasma discharge, just the quiet finality of a precision shot from 700 meters through dense forest. Jakar's crystals hummed with confusion. How did he identify the Alpha from that distance? Liam pulled up the tactical feed. He tracked movement patterns for 6 hours, identified which Krell the others deferred to, calculated wind speed and bullet drop, and waited for the perfect shot. That's not military training, Ambassador. That's a lifetime of hunting experience. Within a week, the Krell swarm had withdrawn from the Dagwood forest. Their casualties were minimal compared to conventional warfare, but their morale was shattered. They'd faced an enemy that fought with patience, precision, and an intimate understanding of terrain that even their advanced senses couldn't match. In the aftermath, Jakar stood with Eva and Liam on the Defender's observation deck, watching New Montana's forests stretch to the horizon. I underestimated your species, Jakar admitted. We knew humans were persistence predators, endurance hunters. We didn't understand that you'd refine those instincts into art forms spanning millennia. Eva nodded thoughtfully. We've been hunters since before we built cities, Ambassador, long before we reached the stars. The Council sees our military, our technology, our ships. But beneath all that is something older: the patience to track, the knowledge to read land, and the skill to take a clean shot when it matters most. Marcus and his team departed the following morning, returning to their lives as conservation officers and guides. But the footage of their operations spread through the Galactic Council like wildfire, and humanity's reputation evolved from merely being predators to being something far more formidable: apex hunters who brought ancient skills into a modern age. As the Defender prepared to depart, Liam remarked to Eva, "Think the Council finally understands what makes us different?" Eva smiled slightly. "They're learning. We're not just predators, Liam. We're the species that turned hunting into science, tradition into tactics, and patience into our deadliest weapon. The galaxy accepted us as predators. Now they know what it means to face hunters who've perfected their craft over 10,000 years. The stars stretched before them, and humanity's reputation as apex hunters had only just begun."